So this presentation was put together by REQ Capital, and this is a summary of serial acquirers. On the screen, you can see a list here of the Nordic serial acquirers. So we've got specialists on the left, and what a specialist is a business that focuses on a particular industry. So, for example, Facade Gruppen, they focus on facade restoration works, gutters, and the stuff on the outside of a building, facades. Then you've got like green landscaping. That's essentially landscaping and like commercial landscaping businesses they're trying to essentially roll up. There's a big list here. You can go through them yourself. And on the right is a list of generalist serial acquirers. And generalists are just not specifically stuck in one particular industry. They focus on different industries. A good example here is Lifco. They do have a dental business area that they like to play in. They like to make acquisitions there. They also have demolition businesses in there. And then they have everything else, which is like other stuff. So they're not really focusing on one particular area they're just looking for good businesses. But they seem to have a leaning towards they're just good at dental and demolition. That's why they have these categories, because once they bought 2, 3, 4, it was easier to buy more in that space because they started to understand that space better and better. So there's advantages for getting really good at a particular industry, and then there's advantages to being a generalist because the marketplace is then bigger for you. You can just focus on the best businesses. Whether you can be really good at lots of different businesses and different industries, I don't know. I don't have that experience. I would have thought that being a specialist would have been probably easier. But the generalists have shown from Technion and Momentum Group, Volati, Indutrade, Lifco, these are some exceptional businesses that have done an amazing job of acquisition. So it's obviously possible. Now, being a serial acquirer is not the same as private equity, and these are the differences. Serial acquirers have this idea of the business they're buying is going to be forever with them. It's like a permanent home. They don't have this private equity mentality of optimizing things, cutting costs, making the profit look better, and then selling it to a bigger buyer in 5-10 years time. Serial acquirers focus on keeping these things forever, and that's one difference. Then you've got the attitude of private equity and serial acquirers after the transaction has been completed. So serial acquirers want to be really decentralized. They want to just let the thing do its thing. They've got good people in charge of it. They're really trying to not get involved at all with daily operations, whereas private equity, they're going to make changes. They're going to do things and try to improve that business as best they can. I don't think that's the worst strategy. It's just different. And some things I like more about serial acquirers generally, but I can understand the private equity approach. It just seems a lot harder. So we're getting to the end now of the strategy section of what makes a serial acquirer. And if I was to summarize, it'd be something like this. Serial acquirers have the strategy of buying private market businesses. The businesses that they're targeting have these solid financials. It produces cash flow, but the owner is probably just taking it out for him or herself, and there's no real clear reinvestment strategy. That's what a serial acquirer is wanting to acquire, a business like that. So they're going to find good uses for that extra cash and then chase returns that are far higher than the cost of capital. They got this buy and hold for long-term idea. They often say that it will be the business's forever home. And the best serial acquirers seem to be very decentralized, so decisions are made as close to the customer as possible. And the head office of the serial acquirers needs to stay small and lean because that's not creating they're not doing much value. They're just making the decisions with the capital, but they essentially are a cost on all of these different subsidiaries. So they have to keep that small and lean. If the minute you start going past sort of 10 people in head office, I think you're starting to rack up the costs. And if you're racking up costs, that's less money to reinvest. Therefore, you're going to get less returns overall. And trying to keep that small and lean is the way to go. Now, each week I send out an email called Yes Stocks, No Stocks. There's a link in the description where I keep track of the valuations of a handful of serial acquirers that I'm into. Now, I've talked about specialists and generalists before. Here's sort of the different strategies there. You can have a read of those. But look, maybe putting things into buckets is a bit of a waste of time. Does it really matter if it's a bit of both, mostly a specialist, mostly a generalist? Probably not. Okay, there's a lot of text on the screen here. Let me summarize it. So essentially, integrating a small business into a larger one is just super crazy hard, and most of the time it doesn't seem to work. People don't like following corporate rules, and different personalities clash, and trying to chase synergies is probably not a good idea. Roll-ups, not the most attractive of the styles of serial acquirers in my eyes. But even though I just said all that, it doesn't mean it can't be done. So if a specialist serial acquirer can work as long as they just don't expect and don't pay up for these future synergies, that's going to end in disappointment. But if they're still just focusing on their little niche, but not relying on synergies, don't pay too much for the acquisition, but stay in their industry, it's probably not a problem. So I think the attitude should be, well, synergies are welcome if you can get them. There's like a bonus, but you shouldn't try to force synergies because it's really difficult, and it's been proven that if that's the strategy, if that's what you're going for, you're going to be, you're going to be disappointed. And just a reminder, some of the best serial acquirers in the world are in the Scandinavian countries, or in England, Australia, Japan. You're going to need a broker that can access those markets. I use Interactive Brokers to do exactly that. Link in the description below. Okay, so there's still a lot more to get through on the playbook of serial acquirers, so I hope you're enjoying it, and I'll see you in the next video.